Adam, the White Hair Master. Season 2. Episode 13. In the previous episode, we followed Adam and Sarah to a university dorm to deal with a girl who committed suicide not long ago. After grasping the situation and offering a solution that startled everyone, Adam walked out of the room. Outwardly, Adam explained to Sarah why he had made such a decision. At this point, Sarah was startled to ask if Adam had seen the ghost or not. Still whispering, Adam just nodded slightly. Adam also knows that Mia's spirit has been watching his every move since he entered the room. So Adam had to pretend he couldn't handle this, leaving the ghost to do whatever he wanted. In addition, Adam needed time to prepare some necessary things. As for Mia's ghost, it was very pleased with Adam's decision. It watched their backs for a while longer and then disappeared into nothingness. Not knowing what Adam wanted to prepare, only knowing that after leaving the faraway dormitory, Adam asked Sarah to take him to a shop specializing in spiritual goods in the city. After buying a lot of junk, Adam returned to the dormitory late in the afternoon. Time passed slowly, and finally, midnight had come. In the dorm room now, there were only 3 people left. Lily and Victoria were fast asleep, and Riley's bed was clearly occupied, but now no one was in sight. Look out the window. A scene could not help but startle people. A person was sitting on the doorstep, and looking closely, it was Riley. For some reason, after what happened in this room, she would dare to sit there at this time. A few more minutes passed, and behind Riley appeared a shadow, faint at first but growing clearer. It was Mia's ghost. It quietly approached behind Riley. A cold voice came out. Mia's ghost said that Riley must pay for stealing the person she loved. At the same time as speaking, Mia's ghost also extended its star blue hand full of sharp fingernails towards Riley. Without hesitation, Mia's ghost shoved Riley out of the window. But for some reason, faced with such a dangerous situation, Riley didn't let out a single voice. All there was an eerie silence. After pushing Riley out of the window, Mia's ghost appeared very pleased, a creepy smile appearing on its face. While Mia's ghost was still excited, a voice came from behind it. This person asks him that his revenge is done. It's time for him to leave. As soon as she heard the voice, Mia's ghost was surprised. The ghost immediately turned around and used a ghostly voice to ask who spoke up. It turned out that that person was Adam. He smiled and told Mia's ghost that it was all over. It's time for Mia's ghost to go. He will help her reincarnate, get rid of all the misery that torments her to start a new life. There was one thing that Adam had calculated in advance. He knew that after pushing Riley out of the window, Mia's ghost would definitely not stop. Its purpose was to kill everyone in this room. And just as Adam had predicted, Mia's ghost turned to Adam. Still, she said she would only go when all the people here were dead in a cold voice. Adam could only shake his head in disgust. Mia's resentment was too heavy to be resolved. At this point, Mia's ghost continues to speak to Adam. She blames her friends. According to her, if these friends cared for her, she wouldn't have died so unjustly. So she wanted everyone to end up like her so she wouldn't feel lonely anymore. After she finished speaking, Mia's ghost immediately rushed to the bed closest to her. Lily was still sleeping and did not know anything. At this point, Adam was certain that he could not convince Mia's ghost to give up his resentment. He began to take action. He immediately put his hand in his pocket, took out the rope that bound the demon, held one end of the rope in his hand, and kept spinning the other end. Aiming at the right moment, Adam hurled the end of the rope in his hand at Mia's ghost. Immediately, the demon's rope wrapped tightly around the ghost's arm before it could even touch Lily's body. Realizing that something was wrong, Mia's ghost turned to attack Adam. knowing that it could not achieve its purpose as long as Adam was here. But it did not anticipate Adam's ability. As soon as it was about to attack, Adam used the demon rope in his hand to rap many times on Mia's ghost body. Mia's ghost repeatedly struggled to get free, but the more she struggled, the tighter the rope became. Mia's ghost resists fiercely to be able to break free from the demon's chain. But how could Adam give it a chance to do that? He quickly wound a few more ropes around the ghost's neck, not giving it a chance to escape. In fact, if Mia's ghost had listened to Adam's words, it would have been able to escape easily, without suffering like this. But the resentment was so heavy that it couldn't let go, forcing Adam to take strong measures. At this time, Adam pulled harder and harder on the rope, with which the ghost's body was also deformed. Adam suddenly shouted, "Rest in peace." With that, he tugged at the demon rope in his hand. Mia's ghost couldn't take it any longer, immediately torn into small pieces and then dissipated into a hazy black smoke. After defeating Mia's ghost, Adam wrapped the rope that bound the demon and put it in his pocket. Exterminating Mia's ghost was really something that Adam didn't want at all. But he has no other choice. Hopefully, Mia will start a new life better, no longer being taken advantage of by people like that bastard. At this time, Adam also approached Lily, but it was strange that she didn't react after being so noisy all this time. When Adam approached and helped Lily up, everything became clear. The person lying on the bed was not a real person but just a paper dummy made by Adam. Both are made by Adam to look exactly like real people, so it's impossible to detect at first glance. After packing up the effigies of Victoria and Lily, Adam left the room to go down to the courtyard of the dormitory. In the dormitory yard right now, Sarah is also collecting a dummy, Riley's dummy. It seems that Adam used this method to deceive Mia's ghost, help it achieve its purpose of revenge, thereby letting go of resentment, but was unsuccessful. While dealing with Mia's ghost, the three people in this room were arranged by Adam to avoid going elsewhere. Now that everything was done, Adam looked at the girls and advised them to be sober in social relationships. According to Adam, this is the time to study well, which is also why their parents try to earn money to take care of their children. After giving the girls some more advice, Adam turned to Sarah and told her to quickly find somewhere to burn the dummies or something bad would happen. Just as Sarah nodded to show she understood and the two were about to leave when a voice called Adam to stay. It turned out that the speaker was Riley. After a few seconds of confusion, Riley said that she wanted to be friends with Adam on social networks and wanted to take a photo of Adam as a souvenir. Looking at Riley's expression right now, it's not hard to guess that she noticed Adam. Contrary to when dealing with ghosts, Adam's attitude when facing young girls is extremely awkward. Unable to refuse the girls' pleas forever, Adam had to agree to befriend Riley. As he walked to the car, Adam wondered to Sarah what these young girls were thinking. At this time, Sarah just smiled and told Adam that she understood the psychology of these young girls. Once she met a brave and cold man like Adam, not only Riley but also every girl would flutter. Hearing what Sarah just said, Adam could only shake his head with a wry smile and get in the car. Sarah takes Adam to an empty lot near the university, where she helps Adam burn the effigies. Watching the dummies gradually turn to ashes, Sarah suddenly raised her face and turned to Adam. She told him she wanted to go to the disco for a bit. Hearing what Sarah just said, Adam immediately understood Sarah's purpose. It seems that Sarah wants to claim some justice on behalf of the dead from that bastard. While Adam was still hesitating, Sarah turned and walked back to the car. She once again confirmed that Adam's guess was completely correct. According to Sarah, even though she couldn't do much, she couldn't let the man roam around after taking advantage of many young girls. Not wanting Sarah to go to such a complicated place alone, Adam decided to go with Sarah. The two drove to one of the most famous discos in the city, and according to Sarah, the bastard was probably here. After finding a parking space, Sarah stopped and took out the makeup box from her bag. She carefully applied her makeup. Finally, she did not forget to paint her lips very bold. Seeing all this, Adam couldn't help but feel confused. After getting ready, Sarah started walking with Sarah into the discotheque. The two's appearance quickly attracted attention everywhere they went. Although only wearing normal office clothes, Sarah's beauty makes the girls who dress elegantly also jealous. As for Adam's appearance, it was completely inappropriate for this place, but his coldness and eye-catching white hair made many people curious about what Adam came here for. Of course, it wasn't just girls who noticed Sarah. From the moment she walked in, many men were paying attention to her. Many names treat women as collectibles, so when they see Sarah, their eyes immediately light up. Of course, the bastard who seduced Mia was also here, and there was no way he could let this wonderful prey slip by without trying some flirting. He immediately stood up and walked over to Sarah. After striking and flattering introductions to Sarah, he began asking for Sarah's social media accounts. Sarah's behavior is also extremely clever. She makes the bastard think she has been conquered by his appearance. But really in Sarah's heart, she loathed this kind of man. Every time he opened his mouth to say flowery words, she just wanted to immediately punch him in the face. After a bit of persuasion, Sarah finally agreed to give that bastard her social media account, but because she didn't want anyone to hear her, Sarah told him to bow his head near her. She would whisper to him. Feeling proud of having conquered yet another girl, the bastard leaned close to Sarah's ear, but suddenly, his face turned contorted, followed by a painful expression. Sarah's action made all the witnesses startled, especially the men around. When they saw this scene, they all winced as if they were in the situation of the bastard. It seems that this is the lesson that Sarah told Adam before. It will remind the bastard every time he tries to tease a certain girl. The man next to the bastard, seeing his friend like that, immediately took action. But it seems that this guy is not a gentleman, because looking at his actions, it is not difficult to see that he intends to rush back and attack Sarah. Of course, Adam could not accept that to happen. As soon as the big guy rushed over, Adam also dropped his bag and started moving. The big man didn't hesitate to swing his fist at Sarah, but he suddenly noticed that a person he had never known appeared next to Sarah. This made the onlookers marvel at Adam's extremely fast speed. It was because of the surprise that the big man's speed slowed down a bit, but even if he wasn't startled, his speed was still far behind Adam. While his fist could not reach Adam, he received Adam's heavenly punch in the middle of the face. Immediately blood from his mouth and nose splashed out. The man was as big as a felled tree, falling backward. While falling, he accidentally hit the bastard's head. In less than a minute, the bastard was repeatedly hit in the same place, causing his face to turn white with pain. This situation was completely beyond Sarah's calculations, but it satisfied her more than she wanted. Lifting her head confidently, Sarah smoothed her hair and slowly walked away. As she passed the bastard, Sarah didn't forget to stop, flashed a big smile and said to him, "Remember the lesson this time, it won't be the same next time, scum." After teaching the bastard a lesson, Adam and Sarah slowly walked out of the discotheque. Behind them are many admiring eyes, especially young girls. It wasn't until she got into the car and walked a bit that Sarah breathed a sigh of relief. She confessed to Adam that she had to try her best to get the same carefree attitude she had earlier in the discotheque. She had never acted like this before. Until now, her heart was still pounding with nervousness. Hearing what Sarah told him, Adam could only smile. More and more, he discovered more and more interesting points from Sarah. Moments later, Adam spoke up, saying that the bastard deserved it. But Adam is a man, so Adam really sympathizes with the pain that the bastard has to go through. At this point, Sarah couldn't hold it any longer, her face flushed red. She said that she really hates this type of man, so she couldn't help but do it when she met him. After a moment of silence, Sarah asked Adam to tell her about his master and the generations before him. She wants to understand more about what her grandfather went through when he was young. At Sarah's suggestion, of course, Adam immediately agreed. But just as he was about to start talking, Sarah's phone rang. The two couldn't help but be surprised because they didn't know who was calling at this late hour. Sarah smiled and apologized to Adam, then took out her phone to see who was calling. Just looking at the caller's name, Sarah had to exclaim in surprise. The caller was her grandfather. Sarah immediately answered the phone, but after a few seconds, Sarah quickly cried out in surprise for the second time. It turned out that her grandfather had taken a plane here and had arrived. He called to tell Sarah to come to pick him up. After Sarah hung up the phone, her face couldn't hide the worry. Seeing that, Adam immediately asked what happened that Sarah was so worried about. Only then did Sarah say that her grandfather had come here to deal with her sister's affair. The woman is controlled by the demon child that Adam helped when he first arrived in this city. Sarah's grandfather said he wanted to go to the city to visit the sisters on the phone. Still, Sarah understood her grandfather's personality better than anyone. Surely he had found some information about that evil magician that he had to come all the way here. In fact, after defeating the demon controlling Sarah's sister, Adam has always wondered and searched for its origin but failed. He knew that one day the magician was not destroyed, many more people would be harmed. Sarah was very surprised because she did not know that her grandfather was so far away. How could he find that mage? Another thing Sarah's grandfather wanted her to do was take Adam with her when he came to pick him up at the airport. He knew that Adam had directly defeated the demon through Sarah's story, so he wanted to meet Adam. At Sarah's suggestion, Adam felt like he had found a treasure, because he had always hoped to one day meet his master's predecessors. So the two immediately went to the airport. Sarah knew that once Grandpa called her he was long gone. She didn't want her grandfather to wait any longer. Sure enough, when she arrived, Sarah found her grandfather waiting right outside the main hall. Meeting her grandfather, Sarah was extremely happy. She seemed to return to the child she used to cling to her grandfather. And Adam was a little worried. He still didn't know what to say to the senior equal to his master. Seeing his granddaughter and Adam approaching, Sarah's grandfather remained expressionless. Sarah immediately brought Adam to him and introduced him to her grandfather. Suppressing his excitement, Adam smiled and greeted Sarah's grandfather very politely, the same way he used to greet his master. But completely beyond Adam and Sarah's expectations, in response to Adam's greeting was a lightning strike from Sarah's grandfather. Witnessing the scene unfolding, Sarah couldn't help but be startled. She tried to guess why her grandfather would act like that.